Okay, today I want to discuss how unreliable vision is. Now, we all know about pareidolia, the seeing of images that aren't really there, or seeing significance in things that are there. Faces in clouds, faces in objects, seeing cross beams and everywhere, other things. Our vision just we have something that's significant for us, so we tend to spot these things and see them even when what we're looking at is completely random. We'll see a face in a landscape, even though the face is a mixture of like 20 different things: a house, a tree, the mountain, this way the sun's shining. Most famous one is that one Martian one, the face on Mars. Now, mine that I saw was a little bit more concrete than that. It was pretty freaky for the longest time. It took me about a month to figure out what it finally was, but every night I'd be lying in bed. I'd be playing World of Warcraft for about 3-4 hours before I went to bed. And I'd be looking up at the ceiling just as I'm drifting off to bed. It'd be dark and just a little bit of light coming in, and I'd look up and I'd see a spider. Massive tarantula-sized spider walking across my ceiling. Now, this freaked me out. The first couple times I saw it, I jumped up and turned on the light. Nothing's there. Laid back down, and sure enough, I'd see the tarantula. I could see its legs, I could see the hairy, I could see everything about this. It was fairly detailed for, what it was. So I'm trying to figure out what it was. I was skeptical. I knew it wasn't a ghost, but there was something going on here that I couldn't figure out. And after about a month, I finally figured out the correspondence, what was causing it. It was the mini-map from World of Warcraft. I'd be playing for 4 hours and I'd be staring at it, and I still had the retina burn of it for a little bit of time while I'm drifting off of the mini-map. Now, the eye naturally wiggles. We don't normally really notice it because the mind compensates, but when it's dark, the rest of the room doesn't really wiggle, but the burned image is wiggling back and forth and giving sort of the impression of a spider walking. And of course, as my eye tracks across the ceiling, combined with wiggling, it makes this spider move. And my brain was filling in the gaps because it knew that shape was a spider, and I've seen enough giant spider images, how I probably fought a bunch of them in the game, so I knew what a giant spider looked like. So that's what my brain was filling in these gaps and creating this quasi-realistic looking spider out of just a retina burn. Now, why is this significant? Because we see this, people a lot of times see ghosts, they see angels, they see stuff they want to see. It's not that they're making stuff up all the time. It's that they're seeing one thing and their mind is telling them it's something else, because the mind's looking for things to relate it to. The mind is constantly comparing what you see to things it has in its own catalog, faces and whatnot. My understanding is that the colors you see in the peripheral vision are actually not there. It's the brain filling in the gaps. Your peripheral vision doesn't have any color cones, so it only sees in black and white. The brain is filling in the gaps, and many things like this. So the brain is very good at filling in gaps, but it also will fill in gaps when they're not there. That's why you see things like pareidolia, because it's relying on its catalog of what's there. So just because you see something doesn't necessarily make it true. You gotta be very careful about these things. Think practically, what is it that you're actually seeing? And let's not forget, that the brain has a very big tendency to ad hoc fill in stuff. You know, many memories that we have are false, or partly false. We're only remembering part of it, and the brain has since filled in the gaps, or we blocked out certain parts of the memory, creating these sort of events that we want to have happen. You know, if you're really curious about this, ask about big events that you remember, and talk with others. See how they remember these events, because quite often, one of you is going to remember it completely differently. And one of you has filled in the gaps or blocked out certain things. I have one friend that me and him will completely disagree with many stuff. He'll say I said something, I'll say I didn't. And he just clearly remembers me saying it as I clearly remember not saying it. Because a lot of times I made a point not to say it. So one of us is clearly remembering it wrong. Is it me blocking out stuff that I don't want to have said, or is it him, adding in stuff that he thinks I said? Because he can't be wrong about something. Or is it me, because I can't be wrong about something? One of us is filling the gaps, not necessarily consciously. And this is why I really don't and can't trust personal experience, anecdotal evidence. Because our minds just aren't reliable enough to trust all these things all the time. Especially when it's something we have a bias towards or against. So comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this subject.